All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video Fat Film. Today, we're going to be talking about fleets, and we're going to be doing a lot of speculation here. And this kind of comes on the cusp of Meathead kind of teasing in the forums that Red 5 is coming, that there's a road ahead, like they're working on that. They just released the comeuppance, and they said that they wanted it because of fleets moving forward as a system. So I've been doing a lot of thinking and speculating, and so I've got some thoughts that I want to get out in front of you guys. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. What do you think is going to be happening with ships? If you can please hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. We're going to give a huge shout out to the channel members right now for continuing to support this channel. If you're ever interested in joining, that link is always down below. These guys get help doing any kind of Galactic Legend event, obviously priority for roster reviews, and really, like, if they just have like questions, like, guys, feel free to DM me, and if you need a roster review and I'm not live streaming, like, just ask me, guys. That's what the channel membership does. You get that access to me. So again, thank you guys for all of your continued support at any various level. Very much appreciated. You all are fantastic. So let's get into the game here, and let's kind of look at fleets as a system and what it means moving forward. So I want to start with like the fleets as a system thing and just say that to me, this means that they're looking at it as more than a game mode and that it's going to transition a bit. Because right now, fleets is not a system. I don't view fleets as a system. It's a game mode, and then it's stuff you get to interact with inside of Territory Wars, Grand Arena, Territory Battles, and Fleet Arena. But the same ships are the best in every single game mode. Like, think about it. The Leviathan is the best fleet in Fleet Arena, best fleet in Squad Arena, best fleet in Squad Arena, Grand Arena, Fleet Arena, Squad. Oh my gosh, stop saying squads, Phil, you idiot. Fleet Arena, Grand Arena, Territory Wars, and even in Territory Battles, it's still a very solid ship. And so, oops, I apologize, the music stopped there. Got to make sure we get that back on so you guys don't yell at me. But what I'm saying is that, like, the best ship is always the best ship, and the worst ship is almost always the worst ship. And there's very few times where a certain ship is more desirable than others, right? In Territory Battles, they kind of went there a little bit with some of the dark side battles, but overall, like, Executor's the best one, Profundity's the best one, it's unfortunate because I think that there's so much potential for it, and they've really never gone to that length. And so I'm wondering if that's what they're going to do, is that they're going to try to create fleets where you want to have the First Order fleet instead of the Executor fleet for some reason, or vice versa, right? Like, if that's the direction we're heading, I don't know, because again, like, the best should be the best, but there's not really a lot of ways where you want the Resistance fleet, right? Because you don't need it until you need Galactic Legends Race. So I'm wondering if that's what they're going to try and do. But they do have to be careful, right? Because they don't want to upset the fleet economy. And you need to understand what I mean by fleet economy. The fleet economy is this whole area where, in Fleet Arena, you get 400 crystals, right, every single day. And that you get the drop rates for ships, the capital ships, all those events. Like, the fleet economy is very intentionally, like, the speed at which you can get ships is very intentional. And that if they were to up the shards, like, I'm going to tell you right now that I think ship shards are always going to stay at, like, one time. I don't think they're ever going to get accelerated. There's 4 times as many characters as there are ships. 4 times as many characters. I can make a better argument for us to increase all the stuff you need for characters by 2 before I feel comfortable making an argument that ships should be accelerated, because you would just get through it so much more quickly. And even if you just did the ships 2 times, you wouldn't have enough ship credits, wouldn't have enough prestige, ability materials, like, you wouldn't have the pilots for them, all that stuff. So I think we need to pump the brakes a bit and understand that right now, the way ships are, they actually play an integral role in that your progress there is intentionally slow because there's not as much to interact with. So I think ship shards are going to stay at a one-time multiplier, and I think that's perfectly fine. That's a very controversial take that I have. I feel a lot of players don't like that, but I'm telling you that if it wasn't that way, players with half my GP would have all the ships in the game, and you just would need relic levels, and everybody would complain. And so, like, you can't win. I think ships are going to stay the way they are with this new, system that they're implementing. But does Red 5 come into the game, right? It's been hinted at for a long time, and Red 5 to me makes sense. I don't know that another Rebel capital ship makes sense. We've got Profundity, we've got Home 1. We've got, like, a lot of Rebel ships. Like, when you go to your Rebel ships and you look, you have, Hans Falcon, the Outrider, the Y-Wing, the Phantom, and the Ghost, which all form the Profundity fleet. And then you're left over with Cassian and Biston's U-Wing, the Raven's Claw, Wedge's ship, and Biggs' ship under Home 1. And the thing here is that the Raven's Claw, very much so, not only calls out Home 1 and its kit, like, multiple times calls out Home 1, but also calls out non-scoundrel rebel allies, which is very important because the scoundrel rebel allies being Dash and Hans Falcon. So you're almost never going to use the two of them together. And if Red 5 came into the game, I feel like it would be a lifter unit for the home 1, which means, at least the way I view it, which means it's going to lift the home 1, which means we're not going to get to use Hans Falcon and Red 5 together, most likely, because we're going to want to get the full benefit of the Raven's Claw. Again, just my thought, right? I'm not saying that's 100% sure, but that would be my gut assumption. Again, I feel like it just makes the most sense that way. That they're going to want to try and split those fleets up a bit, and I feel like that, to me, is where it makes sense. And I think that Red 5 also, though, again, like I said, we don't need another Rebel capital ship because there's enough for each of those fleets. I think Red 5 would just kind of lift this into maybe that level where Marauder did with Negotiator, something along those lines where, this fleet turns into something that it can counter things, that it can beat certain fleets. Just a thought, but I definitely think we're going to get Red 5 this year. I feel like they cannot put off Red 5 much longer. Like, the player base is just, chomping at the bit for it for how long it's been teased to us. So, I definitely would be prepared for Red 5, and especially with, some of the Lightspeed bundles that have come out for Rebels, I feel like the Rebel, you look at what they did with Beskar Mando, you look at the Rey stuff, everything they did was very well planned out. And makes a lot of sense for changes that have come into the game. So this Rebel Lightspeed bundle to me is starting to scream that they're going to want players to have those things to be able to get Red 5, right? That's, again, just one man's humble opinion. You guys take that with a grain of salt. I know a lot of players are thinking that Admiral Trench is going to get a ship. And I wouldn't hate it because he literally is a fleet commander. That is one of the things that he's literally an admiral. That screams fleet commander. Here's the one problem with that. I don't think we're going to get another ship, a trench ship, because we only have the 5 separatist ships. That's it. There's no, we have 5 separatist ships. So we need, what do you do with the Malevolence then? Does it just completely, it goes completely useless, right? You wouldn't use it at all. And you could say, oh, well, that's what the Endurance was like, but, the Endurance was a starting fleet. This is a Guild Event Currency 2 fleet. This is a fleet that, they've gated behind this very important currency. So I don't know that Admiral Trench as a capital ship makes sense unless we got additional Separatist ships to use with Trench himself, because if we got maybe an Asajj ship, a Dooku ship, some other droid ships, a gunship or something, that's the kind of stuff that I think could make the Trench fleet work. But I feel like the Malevolence cannot afford, I don't think Capital Games could release another capital ship that steals these guys away because of Guild Event Currency 2, that so many players spend how much of their Guild Event Currency 2 solely farming the Malevolence, right? Where's it at? Come on. I know you're around here somewhere. There it is. There's Negotiator. There's Malevolence. So many players just use their Guild Event Currency to farm those two things. So my fear would be, who's going to buy Malevolence Shards when Trench has a ship? Be honest with yourself, right? Would you end up doing that, or would you just wait around to unlock that Trench ship? And you could say what you want about, oh, you got to be 4 million and stuff like that, but in that time, you could go get the Negotiator, get that fleet fully up and running, and then you start working on your Trench, start gearing his ship. I feel like people wouldn't spend their Guild Event Currency here anymore, and it would just fade into non-existence. So that's a big fear of mine, and that's why I think that Trench won't get a capital ship, or if he does, we'd get a bunch more Separatist ships, because there's only 5 Separatist ships. Comparative to the Empire, all these other fleets where there's a lot more ships, I don't think the Separatists are built to have 2 capital ships. Same thing with Resistance and the First Order, your Bounty Hunters. There's not enough ships there to create a ton of fleets. Same thing with the Sith. It doesn't make sense. One of my last thoughts here, guys, is there a ship raiding coming? Are we going to get a ship raid? We've been asking for a ship raid for a very long time. And the whole fleets moving forward as a system, making sure that every single fleet has every single faction has 5 ships. Are we getting a raid? Could we be getting a Death Star raid or some kind of ship? That would be amazing. I think that'd be really cool. As I'd say, it would be cool as long as Capital Games does it the right way. The one thing with ships that we need to be careful with is that battles with ships normally take longer. They're far less, how do I say it? It's a far more manual process to me. I feel like, ships, like, you've really got to play it. And so I'd be curious as to if they did a ship raid, how would they ensure that it's not taking up so much of our time, that it's this huge thing that you need to do. Because there is a lot of ships, right? There's a lot of fleets that you could use, and I would just be nervous that it would be a very time-consuming thing to do. So I'd be curious how that would all pan out together. But I do think like that there could be a ship rating coming, or some sort of game mode to further utilize ships, because it's the one thing in this game that I feel is the least represented. You look at all the different ways we get to use characters, and they talked about, oh yeah, the galactic challenges, but I feel like that's not a good enough reason. That there's got to be more to it. You didn't just give out the Finalizer bundle, the Radis bundle, even that Rebel bundle. You didn't do all those things just out of the goodness of your heart. There's a reason for it, and I have a feeling that that something big like a ship raid or another game mode is coming into Galaxy of Heroes. The last thing I'm going to mention here, right? It's not in the little things here because it's going to be us kind of looking in fleets as a whole here. Fleet crystals. Do I think they're going to move out of Fleet Arena? My gut says no. And the reason I say that is because you think about it. If you get first place, you get 400 crystals. So at any point in the game that you can get first place, you're going to earn as many resources as I am. With whatever investment you've put into that fleet, you're going to get 400 crystals. So you think if you bought the Radis Lightspeed bundle in a brand new shard and you've got that fleet, that's the fleet that you're using, you're getting 400 crystals. If you have the Executor in your fleet and you're getting first place, you're getting 400 crystals, regardless of your galactic power. Fleets, to me, is a very equalizing event, right? It's a very equalizing thing. I'm going to show you guys an example here in my own fleet shard. So we have this guy down here. Where is he? The dude here. He's 15th place right now. He'll end up climbing into first place. He's got 7.2 million galactic power. He's got an Executor. He's got Profundity. He does not have Leviathan, and he's not close to Leviathan. But he still gets first place. He gets 400 crystals. He gets just as much from Fleet Arena as I do. Now, he might have to do a refresh, but he's still obtaining first place. He's still getting a lot of fleet crystals. Look at his ships compared to like the work that I've put into mine. I've put in far more work, and he's getting similar crystals to me. So my argument here is that fleets are a big equalizer. That one fleet can really, really set you on the path to success. And I think that's the one thing that Capital Games is going to try to stop, right? Is you think about with Squad Arena, they said, oh, it's about the Shard Mafia, things like that. But I think it really boiled down to them not liking that one thing could propel you to first place. And I think with fleets, that's happening. But I don't know that they have a fix for it yet, because you can't take these and put them in Grand Arena. Because players, and rightfully so, would freak out that, oh, those guys in, Kyber 1 getting even an easier time. They're getting more crystals, and we're never going to catch them. So I don't think they're going to move them anytime soon, right? I want to make sure I get that clear. Again, I think it's a very big thing. This fleets as a system, I think, is going to apply to other ways that they're going to make sure that everybody's getting all the different pieces. Because, like, what's the incentive? Like, you think going back to, and I'm not just picking on him. Like, he's a very nice guy. I talk to him pretty regularly. Like, what incentive does he have to build, the Star Fortress right now? What incentive does he have to build, Raven's Claw? Like, what incentive does he have to build some of these ships? Because he's already getting first place. He doesn't need any more help, right? Like, oh yeah, he needs help in the Grand Arena, but for who? Like, who's he fighting? Like, I think that for players to really get the full investment in ships, they need to be incentivized to do it, and that's why I think this fleet system is going to be changing. And I think it would be my personal opinion. I think it's going to be in the form of a raid. I feel like that makes the most sense. I feel like that's going to be the way that they can capitalize on players like that. Hey, you know what? The Radis is really good here. The Finalizer is really good here. Oh, your Executor is kind of trash, which would be really funny. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Again, like, subscribe, comment. I love all you. May the force be with you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.